Alright, and we're back. Okay. Of course, hello YouTube, SEVENFOLD here, back with another video, or stream, if you will, for your viewing pleasure. And I'm doing this, I'm streaming this because my phone is kind of acting up, so, particularly, like, the camera and, like, gallery and stuff is, like, messed up a little bit, so that's why I'm coming on stream to talk about the albums that came out tonight. Um, like two of them in particular. I know there's other stuff that came out tonight, but I'm not gonna get to those particularly like yet. Um, yeah. Of course, we just talked about Foo Fighters in the previous video, um, which yeah, if you want to go see that review, go see it. But this is Avenged Sevenfold, so if you want to like hear about my thoughts on the Avenged Sevenfold album, then you've come to the right place because this is basically what I think of this album. And really, this album is a mess, in my opinion. This is a mess. Let's just say it right off the bat. Like, I'm not a big fan of Avenged Sevenfold. I'm not, like, super crazy about them or anything like that. Like, I think they're solid. They've had solid work. They've had some albums that are pretty solid. I think Stay Evil and Avenged Sevenfold, self-titled Nightmare. All those albums are pretty solid, in my opinion. Um, every now and then I'll have something okay, but I was really hoping that I knew this was going to be a different album than their previous albums that they've done. Even The Stage, which I previously thought was a low for them, um, which I didn't care for as much, really. Like, I was hoping that this would, at least with the differences, sound a little bit more congruent than uh, as just as congruent as you would want an album that's like experimentative and all that stuff to be. And unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. In fact, I believe it's the case. Like, I highly believe that's the case because like there's a lot of like weird stuff that happens on this album that's like very like it's just experimentation for the sake of experimentation. It's not just because like it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to what happens with like the sequencing on this album. Like, I will say some tracks that I think are solid. Nobody, first single. Um, Death, I think is fine. Even though it's the end of a three-part trilogy of songs, it's the last part and it's easily the best part of the song. And the title track, which is kind of like just piano stuff, piano instrumental. Nothing really too wrong with it, but whatever, right? So, man, it seems like every single song on this album is like a closing track. There's just like it just it's not like very like meshed well together or anything like that. It's very just messy. That's the best word for it. Yeah, it's a mess. Like, I thought it was like okay, Game Over and the Song of Tell. I thought those would be like okay exceptions to the rule. Like they're pretty okay songs, whatever. But then we get to like We Love You, and I'm just like, what in the heck is going on? Like with this album and Cosmic and just like all the vocal effects and all the effects on everything and all the transitions that are so abrupt that it's just like crazy. Like and the vocals. I know M Shadows has not had like the best of vocal ability as of recent. Like I am well aware of that, like because of his vocal work and all that stuff. His vocal like surgery, whatever happened, that has made him like not be up to his game in live shows and all that stuff. Which I kind of don't want to be hard about necessarily, but his performance on this album is very good. I think it is kind of comical, especially like with "We Love You" with the vocal like clipping and stuff. That like the vocal effects they apply on there are kind of just like comically bad, which I'm not raging about necessarily, but it's just very abrupt. The transitions are so abrupt, especially on "We Love You" and "Cosmic," especially on "Cosmic." Like because you'll go from one genre, which is like just metal ish, and then you'll go to like jazz music, like abrupt, like you just switch the dial, you know, and it's just so weird and just out of this world, and it's not like a good kind of that. It's just weird, boring, it lags so much. It's so disinteresting, like because they don't do anything in the first like 2 or 3 minutes of the longer songs on this album that is really like appealing in any way. And it's just a mess. Like it's just one big like effects show. Basically, it just doesn't work. Yeah, and like when they have it, it's one of those albums where when they have a good idea, they screw it up by doing something that's like just like it's so many different things with this album. It's inconsistency. It's having a good idea but then ruining it. It's not having enough to appeal. Like we get to the song G, which is like the first part of the 3 track. It has a good idea. I think it does have a good idea. Like the riff is okay. Like the female vocals, whatever. And then I just think the lyrics are just so like absurdly like bad in a way. Like on that song in particular, like them saying JC, what have I done, all that stuff. Like what that's bad in my opinion. That's or whatever they said in that part. Like not a good song. I think ordinary. Another case of well, I mean, in the case of the God songs, the God songs on this album, at least they split them up into like 3 tracks because that that would have not have applied if it was like all 3 were connected. But we still have the first 2 parts of that song, G and O, very disposable, in my opinion. Song Ordinary is another like effects show where it's you can't even understand what the vocals are even saying at some parts of this album. And it's like whatever. And then we get to Death and Life is But a Dream, which I said were pretty solid. I mean, Death at least sounds consistent in what it's doing. It's the only moment on this album I can think of that is at least consistent with one sound, other than Nobody. I think I remember Nobody having some consistency. The rest of the album is just like all over the place. And with the genres I listen to, progressive metal and all that stuff, sometimes like a good like this is like genre bending and genre transitioning that does not work at all, in my opinion. Like if you like want an example of something that's like genre transitioning that's well done, look at Sleep Token's album, Take Me Back to Eden. That album, like they transition genres like into different genres, but they made it work. They made it consistent. It's a consistent album from beginning to end. It feels like all of those elements belong on that album. Same thing with last week with the Inner Spheres album Wanderer. Like that album definitely had some genre differences, a little bit, not a lot, but like you would tell that they belonged on the album because they honed their way to that sound for whatever, and like it just sounds consistent. Those two albums sounded very consistent, and that's why they are very good. This album from Avenged Sevenfold is not very good at all. This album is very confusing, head scratching. I have not heard an album this head scratching since You're Welcome by A Day to Remember. I mean, it's just very, like, just random. You know, he is so, like, M Shadows is so hamming it up, I think. Like, if he wanted to do better, he could have given a good vocal performance. Something on the level of something like City of Evil or something like that. Some of their classic stuff. But, like, it is what it is. I mean, this album isn't, like, infuriatingly bad. At least it isn't something like, like I Prevail or something like that. It is different. It is different. It doesn't sound like anything that, has come out like within the past while. It doesn't sound like um, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think. It doesn't sound pretty much like anything else that's come out this year. So I mean, it's pretty unique, I must say. Like there's some comically bad moments, which I'm all for, but I mean, it's just not. I mean, like Life is But a Dream, like is not like a consistent album. So I mean, like I was debating on whether I'm gonna give this a 4 or 5, to be honest, because like I mean, either rating, to be honest, does seem very applicable to this album, but just for the sake of the fact that G is a terrible song, I think, and the fact that the effects are so bad on this album, I'm just gonna give this a strong 4. To be honest, it's basically what it is. This album is a mess. This is their worst album. Ugh. Like I didn't even like the stage that much. I think this is a weaker album, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I'll still pick it up because I mean I gotta like archive. I'm thinking of like I don't even have the stage. I'm probably just gonna archive the Avenged Sevenfold discography, I guess, like, because I am a completist or whatever when it comes to major studio albums or whatever. And I'm not even big on Avenged Sevenfold, but I do have most of their discography. But yeah, this is just a very like this is just a goose egg in my opinion. Uh, you want to like kind of laugh at it. I mean, like I laugh at least some moments. Definitely go ahead, but I mean, if you do like this album, I mean that's fine. Like if you can see the consistency and stuff like that in this album, that's okay. I just couldn't see the consistency in it. So yeah, on that note, on this very awkward note, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Of course, this is Scant the Wolf signing out. Take care, and I will see you guys in the future. So